Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I like to think I'm a reasonable person. Others may disagree. But I'll be the first to tell you that if I make a video wherein I make a statement that was incorrect, I'll come back later and say, yes, I was wrong. So I've titled this video, I Was Wrong. And the reason I'm saying this is I recently went to Chicago. And on the way to and from Chicago, passed through some toll booths in Indiana and Illinois. And that process reminded me of a video I did 3 years ago where I talked about how I'd gone to New York, the state of New York. Now, here's the thing. I've talked about mail I get from people who watch the show. But what I'm talking about is an actual piece of mail I got from New York regarding my vehicle. And those of you who spent much time watching my videos know that about a month or so ago, I went to Geneva, New York, where I was a guest disc jockey at WLLW Classic Rock Station. And they're the ones, for instance, who gave me this really cool mug back here, which unfortunately is not always on camera these days because I'm running out of space behind me. But they're the wall where they shut up and rock. So I drove over there and did my thing and drove back. And I did the toll thing at the booths, a couple different places. And then at one point in time, I have a vague memory now of driving over a big arching bridge and landing on a place called Grand Island, I believe. And as I recall, there was no toll booth, but there was some verbiage someplace about tolls. I remember this vaguely. The reason some of this is fuzzy is, number one, is a little while ago. And number two, I had just gotten my brand new Ford Explorer, so I was still learning this vehicle and all that kind of stuff. So I was enjoying the drive, and now that someone jogs my memory, it's like, oh wait, that's right. I seem to recall something somewhere that said toll by plate, meaning that they're going to snap a photograph of my plate as I zoom by, and then they're going to send me something, I presume, in the mail to pay a toll. And I got it in today's mail, and it's been a while. I could do the math on that, but I'm a busy man. Simpsons reference. And one of the things I have to tell you to the people of New York is that this toll by mail thing is stupid. It's just idiotic. Stupid and idiotic. And I pointed out there were some problems with how the system worked because they sent me something where they said, you owe us $2, and the mailing just for postage cost 38 cents. My postage back was going to be 55 cents. And there was a cost, of course, of doing everything that involved getting the bill together and mailed to me. So I said it seems awfully wasteful, and I called it idiotic and stupid. And later on, I think I called it silliness. I wrote these things down because I want to admit I was wrong. And the reason I was wrong, I will come right out right now and tell you I was completely wrong. Now, I've been to Chicago before. I've driven through Chicago before. I was aware of the toll booth situation in Chicago and approaching Chicago through Indiana. I had forgotten how heinous it is. So to get to Chicago from Michigan and then to reverse the process to get home, I had to stop 3 times and pay tolls. Now, I understand if I wanted to, I could have gotten an easy pass. And getting an easy pass would have allowed me to zoom through the easy pass lane. But of course, I'd have to have the easy pass, I'd have money on the easy pass. And who does it for one trip to Chicago every 5 years? Or whatever it might be. So I'm cruising along and I see a sign up front. It says, toll ahead, easy pass left, cash on the right. So you get yourself in a lane, and the first thing that happens is you sit there and wait. And you wait, I think about 15, 20 minutes it took me to get up to the front of the line. Nowhere did it say how much I was going to have to pay. Nowhere. It didn't. There's no sign. Cars this much, trucks this much. Nowhere. Now that was just a couple bucks. I don't remember the exact amount, but it's just a couple bucks. So I thought, okay, no big deal. Flipped him some cash and I take off. I'm on my way. Zooming along. Come to another one. Second time, approaching it, and it says cash, credit card this lane, easy pass this lane. Cash, credit card. So I get in the lane, cash, credit card. As I pull up to it, there's no attendant in the booth. Now, I've been through toll booths before where you can throw change into the basket. I've seen those in a couple different places. And there's ways to pay with cash, but here it's just a credit card, and there's a little screen, and there's no attendant in the booth. And it says, 1, insert credit card. So I insert the credit card. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Now, I'd seen the guy ahead of me pull up and put his credit card in, and he started doing this to indicate to me that he was having trouble, so I wouldn't get mad at him, so that's cool. When I get up there, it does the same thing to me. So there's a help button. I press the help button, nothing. Pull the credit card out, put it back in, nothing. The screen is just sitting there. Nothing's happening. So then an attendant from another booth comes walking over and starts yelling at me above the traffic, and she says, "Do you have an Easy Pass?" Well, if I had an Easy Pass, I'd be in the Easy Pass lane, I would think. But I said, no. And she said, "Do you have a credit card?" And I said, yes. I held it up. She goes, "Stick it in the slot." So I put it in the slot for the third time. Nothing happened. She came walking over. She looked and she goes, "Take it out again." I take it out. She goes, "Okay, put it back in." I put it back in. She goes, "Okay, hang on." And she reaches over, presses the help button for me. A voice comes on from someplace else saying, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, this thing won't work." She goes, "Oh, stick the card in the slot." I stuck the card in the slot. She goes, "Is it in the slot?" "Yes, it is." I pull it out after she tells me to pull it out. Nothing happens. She goes, "Is the gate up?" I said, "No, the gate's not up." She goes, "Oh." Put the card back in the slot again. I put the card back in the slot. I wait a few seconds. She goes, "Okay, pull it out again." I pull it out again. Now the gate goes up. She goes, "Is the gate up?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Thank you." What was happening? I have no idea. But that was happening to other people in this line because this machine was malfunctioning. I believe that charge was $1.50 or $2.50, something ridiculous. And you get the impression that they're not charging you a toll to use the road. They're punishing you for driving a car. That's all it is. They're simply saying, "You want to drive a car? We're going to teach you a lesson." That's what it feels like. Because to stop you and make you go through this ridiculous transaction for $1.50 or $2.50 is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. By the way, got to the third toll booth, which I believe was in Illinois, and got charged $5.90. Again, why $5.90? Why not $6? Why not $5.50? I don't know. But I paid it, and I went on my way. So I went through 3 toll booths on the way there, 3 toll booths on the way back. The only problem I had with the transaction not going smoothly was the one where the card just wouldn't work, okay? But the question is, if you're going to charge somebody $1.50 to make it a pain in the rear end like it was, doesn't seem right. Now I look back fondly on those people in New York who so kindly let me zoom across their bridge and zoom back across it the next day, and then just sent me a bill through the mail. I am now apologizing on behalf of myself and my show to the people of New York, the people of New Jersey, and the fine folks at the Port Authority. Because what you guys are doing is God's work. Thank you very much. Because I look at the lines of cars trying to get through the toll booths, and this was on a Saturday. It was on a Friday and then on a Sunday. Just backed up traffic. And you know it's going to be like that all day long. Now, it might get less and worse, and some days it gets better and then doesn't. Whatever, I understand that, okay? But my point is the idea that you actually stop every single car and make them pay $1.50 through some machine that may or may not work is ridiculous. And that is such a hellacious waste of time. And by the way, I spent a few minutes in that video I did back in 2019 pointing out how when the state of New York and New Jersey, the Port Authority people, sent me the bill for $2, it was very wasteful because it cost them, I think, 38 cents to send it to me, and then I'd spend 55 cents to send it back to them, plus the transaction and processing charges. I said, it's wasteful because if they want $2 from me, that's not how much they're going to net out of this transaction. Plus, it wastes my money also. And I thought that was silliness. And I'll admit, I used the word silliness, and I also said that it was stupid and idiotic, and I now admit, no, I was completely wrong. What they probably should do is simply charge $3 or $4. I mean, I got charged $5.90 just to pass along a little stretch in Illinois. It's absurd. As I pointed out before, the Mackinac Bridge, which is a 5-mile span in Michigan, it's a beautiful drive, costs less than that. Okay? However, getting back to my drive to Chicago, stopped 3 times, was out a little bit over $10, and I'm not complaining about the $10. I'm complaining about the time, the absurd amount of time you waste dealing with a person or dealing with a machine that doesn't want to take your credit card. And I know some people are going to say, Steve, but if you live there, you get an easy pass, no big deal. That might be. But go and look at those lines, and as you're zooming through the easy pass, look at all the poor fools in the other lines, and that's going to be there. And you can't blame them for not having an easy pass, because I'm not going back to Illinois anytime soon. I'm not going to get an easy pass to get through their ridiculous toll booths. So I'm here to tell you that the video I made 3 years ago, entitled something to the effect of New York Wants My $2, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I was completely wrong. And I had people, by the way, back then who told me I was wrong. But I was simply comparing it to the life I live in Michigan, where we don't have toll roads. The only things we have are toll bridges. So to cross the Mackinac Bridge I mentioned, or to cross Ambassador Bridge, the Blue Water Bridge, they charge you to cross the bridges. But on the roads, you just drive around willy-nilly. You don't get charged for that. And so I was comparing my life in Michigan with driving around in New York and getting bills sent to me in the mail. And I was looking at that and going, that seems awfully wasteful to put all that work into recovering $2. Until I saw the hassle it was to give the people of Indiana a couple bucks at each stop and a long, ridiculous stop leading up to it. And then, of course, the machinery that doesn't work. And just to let you know, the last time I made that drive, I went around to Chicago, different set of tolls and so on. And I ran through some automated booths in Indiana. And one of them took cash, and it gave change in $1 coins. Just the dumbest thing ever. Because the very next toll booth didn't take dollar coins. And I remember I went onto Twitter and I complained about that. And somebody from the Indiana Department of Transportation or something, which I suspect the acronym looks a lot like idiots, because it's Indiana and the Department of Transportation. There's probably some other letters in there. But they emailed me, and they messaged me through Twitter and said, hey, if you can provide us the receipts for that, we'll take care of that. Yeah, the receipts from the toll booth that ripped me off when there's nobody at the station. Okay. So again, I do repeat myself, but I'm repeating myself for effect. I was wrong. Specifically in the episode of Lehto's Law 5.414, which went up in the summer of 2019. The video is no longer up. I took it down simply because I take down old videos from time to time. But trust me, in fact, I will have shown clips of it to you by now, so you'll know which video I was talking about if you saw it back at the time. There's also a $100 bill in there somewhere, believe it or not. And I'm just letting you know that video was me being mistaken, for which I now humbly apologize. For in fact, I was wrong. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. What I'm looking for is a blessing that's not in disguise.